Hi, I'm Dave Cathy, the Food Dude, and I'm back with another installment of Chef It Up. This week, we've got Cathy Cummings of Vito's Ristorante, and she's going to show us how she makes her sauce, her sugo, as her grandmother called it. It's her grandmother's recipe. She's going to show us from beginning to end how to make it, and she's also going to talk politics. Here's Cathy Cummings.
Hello everybody, my name is Cathy Cummings and I own Vito's Ristorante here on 7521 North May, Grand and May if you want to know the cross streets. And today we are making my grandmother, my Nani V, her name was Vincenza, her famous sugo. So I use about a tablespoon of olive oil first off, so we're just going to put a little bit in the bottom of the pan, and really the olive oil is so that your onions and your garlic don't stick. So I've got about a cup of onions just chopped up. We're going to put those in. Now we're going to let those cook just for a minute. So we want them to be translucent so you can they're kind of clear. So we're just going to get those going. Now the trick to a good sugo is not to be impatient. It really does take a lot of time just after you put everything together. So don't rush it. We've got our onions working. Looks good, and we're gonna do about a tablespoon of garlic. If you're like me and you love garlic, maybe a tablespoon and a half. So we're gonna put that in. Now the garlic, you don't wanna burn it. You just wanna cook it enough so that you start to smell that flavor of the garlic, which I love. So we're just gonna let that cook here for a second. My family were all in Italian restaurants back in Kansas City. And when I was little, and my mom used to work in all of them with my aunts and my grandmothers and everybody, and I kind of sat on the side and watched, and she let me help her. And so really that's how I got to learn how to cook, was really just sitting next to her, you know, sitting up on the counter with her. And it was a blast, it was a blast. Now, my grandmother always used Hunt's tomato sauce. So I have to make sure we get the label. So for this, we're gonna do 2 cans of tomato sauce. Let's set that right up there. And 1 can of crushed tomatoes. Now, when I was younger, I liked to have some fun, and I got the whole tomatoes and I just scrunched them with my hands, which the kids would love to do that. So, but we've got crushed tomatoes just for the sake of time. We're gonna add all that, and we are going to turn the heat up just a little bit because we want that to get nice and bubbly, and we're gonna stir it all in there with the garlic and the onions. Now this is the part that you don't wanna rush. You really need to bring this up to a boil. So I've got my heat up, and we're just gonna kind of just hang out and let it stir and get nice and bubbly. My dad, he's almost 90. So he comes in the restaurant for dinner, and it's a busy Friday night, and he's got this big dish of pasta with a B, that's how he would call it, big dish of pasta, and he's tasting it, and he's like, and real serious, he's like, Cathy, you know, your sugo's pretty good, but it's not sweet enough. And I was like, what are you talking about, Dad? So, I mean, the place is packed. He takes a sugar packet off the table and starts sprinkling it on his pasta. And so I was furious. I was like, what are you doing? So, and then, you know, he's harmless, but he's really so funny. So I'm taking him around to my customers, you know, table to table, and introducing him. And he's like, you know, Cathy's sugo's pretty good, but, you know, you should taste mine. Mine's a little bit sweeter. So if you want to put a little bit of sugar on it, that's how mine would taste. And I was like, are you kidding me? But I think everyone just got a big laugh out of it, and he was having a ball because he was the man. He was the man that night. I've got about a teaspoon of salt and about 2 teaspoons or 1 big tablespoon of black pepper. Now the thing you need to remember is use ground black pepper if you can. It really does make a difference. Okay, now I let my sugo set on the stove for really a good couple of hours, even longer if you have the time. So it's something you can make early and just let it sit on the stove all day. But after it comes to a boil, we're gonna turn our heat down so it just simmers. Now the trick is, while it's on the stove for so long, you wanna make sure you're stirring it constantly, okay? You just have to stir it all the time. The new restaurant's called Land and Sea, and I don't know, I guess a lot of people would remember Boca Boca back in the day, and it is kind of a takeoff on Boca Boca. We have our Chilean sea bass, which we're famous for, the Chilean crust, or the potato crusted Chilean sea bass, which is phenomenal. And it's been great. We've got lots of fresh fish, usually 3 or 4 different fresh fish entrees, and we get our fish in fresh about 3 times a week. So that's the sea part. And then as far as the land part goes, we have a wonderful rack of lamb and pork tenderloin, and we're doing a rabbit stew. And yeah, and that one has really taken off. And a lot of people go, oh, I remember when my grandmother used to make rabbit stew, and it brings back really great memories. But it has been an absolute blast.
Awesome.
So, and I'm doing both restaurants. So I come over, to the Vito side, and I seat my people and I talk with them, and then I kind of go across the way and go over to Land and Sea and do the same thing over there, and it's been wonderful. Last year was an incredible year for me. I ran for Lieutenant Governor of Oklahoma and had the most incredible experience I have ever had in my entire life. Traveled all over the state, got to meet thousands of amazing people. I mean, just really amazing, wonderful people. And it was great. I'm a promoter. I love to promote Oklahoma because it is one of the friendliest states I think I've ever been in and lived in. And a great place to raise kids, and there's so much going on with the state parks and the tourist attractions, and that's what I really wanted to do, is to promote Oklahoma. And I think I did a great job promoting it while I was running. I didn't win, but that's okay. I think there is something better for me in the future, and I'm excited to see what that is.